Welcome to our topic about math. Today I'm going to talk about two different extremes because our kids are in these two boats typically. Our first extreme is kids who have never done math before, don't know how to do 1 plus 1. And then our second boat, our second extreme, is kids who are blowing you out of the water. You have a worksheet in front of you. It's not hard enough. What can you do? So the first one is how to introduce math to kids who have never done it before. We always want to focus on three things. We want to focus on what the problem looks like. So grabbing out a whiteboard, writing out the problem, or looking at the worksheet and seeing the problem that's given to you. I want you to verbally say it and have them verbally repeat it, saying what is 1 plus 1 equals, 1 plus 1 equals. And then physically, I want you to pull out some small objects that they're going to be able to add with. So if it's erasers or something like that, you can ask me for it, or you can just go grab some and go 1 plus 1 equals 2. So they've seen the problem, they've said the problem, they'll do the problem, they'll find the answer, and they'll write it down. So we want them to go through all three of those steps. Some kids are visual learners, some kids are tactile learners, some kids are hearing learners. We want to hit whatever they need. At their schools, typically they don't count fingers. They try and persuade kids to not count fingers, so try not to introduce that. For a lot of their worksheets that they're doing in school, for the math subject, they're counting apples on their worksheet. So there's apples that they're counting, and that's how they're answering it. Or there's number lines. So if you start with 0 to 10, they have 3 plus 2, 3 and 2 bubbles equals what? 5. And so there's many different ways that you can do it, but we always want it to start with the actual problem. What does it look like? What does it sound like? And then how can we do it? Whether you're counting things, whether you are using a number line, whether you're drawing pictures, whatever they need, and then you're going back and you're writing the answer. And then in the other extreme, for kids who are amazing at math, you're working with them and you're realizing this worksheet is not hard enough, there's not another option. The first thing I want to encourage you to do is, if it's a worksheet full of problems and it's like 1 plus 1 equals blank, 22 plus 22 equals blank, change just the sign, change the type of problem it is. So if it's addition, just change it to multiplication. Tell them, oh, it's multiplication actually. Ha, psych, we're doing multiplication, or psych, we're doing division. What would that look like? And having them rewrite the problem, having them solve that answer, and be able to just not do what's on the worksheet, but use those numbers. So you don't have to just come up with completely new things. If you are realizing that the activity in front of you is just not something that is engaging them, not something that they're able to do, just come and grab some flashcards, and you're going to use cards. So it might be addition flashcards, but again, you can just change those signs, or you can just grab decks of cards and you give them those two numbers, and that's what they're supposed to multiply. That's what they're supposed to divide. So I just want to input this real quick. I already filmed the video, I already edited it, but I realized that I didn't give enough tips and tricks for the flashcards, that I want to add this little segment in here real quick. So there are going to be some days where I tell you that today is a flashcard day. And depending on the kids that you have, it's really hard to figure out how to keep them engaged. And so I want to give you just a couple tips and tricks on how to keep kids who are really new to flashcards engaged versus kids who are amazing, fantastic, blowing you out of the water. All the flashcards are way too easy in the world. So the first thing is for those kids who are not into flashcards, they've never done flashcards before, they won't just sit there and do it. I never expect them to do that. But it is on us to be creative. It's on us to challenge them and keep them engaged. And so if you have a stack of flashcards in front of you, and if you just have one kid or a group of kids, you can give them a stack of flashcards, and you can tell them that every answer to that flashcard is how many push-ups you have to do. And they're racing between each other to see who can finish their stack of flashcards. So they're going to see the problem, they're going to say the problem, they're going to figure out the answer, and then they do that many push-ups, and then they flip on to the next one, and they're trying to go as fast as they can and beat each other, or they're trying to beat you. The next one would be to run a lap. Every single time that they solve a flashcard, they come up to you, they say the answer, they run a lap. They come up to you, they say the answer, they run a lap. Doing relay races, you can put your group into halves. They're lined up in the back. They run up to you, they each have different problems, they say their different answers, and if they're right, they run back and tag the next kid. If they're wrong, they stay up there and work on it with you. And then it just keeps all of the kids engaged, it keeps all of them encouraged, it keeps all of them knowing what's coming next, because there's that start and that end to that game. For kids who are blowing you out of the water, for kids who you have a stack of only edition flashcards, it's all that's left, you don't know what to do, there's a couple suggestions I would give to you. As I've mentioned before, just change the type of problem that it is. So if you have addition flashcards, tell them it's multiplication now. Tell them that these numbers need to be multiplied, and having them work that way, or divided, or whatever it is to make it challenging. You can also have them do a decimal point. So you can give them a flashcard, but then you can give them a whiteboard and tell them that it's actually $5.62 plus $10.98 or something like that. So you can use those flashcards as a starting base, but then you yourself can change what the type of problem is. Another one I would say is, we recently just had a huge group of teenagers come in that we were not prepared for. We had no flashcards for, we had no activity for, and I set them up giving them a challenge. So I challenged them and said that if you race each other in these super easy flashcards, because y'all know math, right? You guys can do this, right? And they're like, yeah, I totally can. I said, whoever finishes and tells me this answer first gets a point. And so the entire time they were racing each other, the entire time they were trying to win this competition, and I told them that the winner would get a pocket full of candy. And so if you challenge your kids with something, if you tell them that there's a prize, just text me real quick what you promised them, and I'll go get it for you so that you can be able to follow through with your promise. But have fun, compete with them, give them challenges, have them challenge each other, have them quiz each other. If it's a kid who's never done math before and truly is just outside of their age range, there is no activity for them that you can think of, at least they can be the one to quiz the other kids. At least they can be the one who's holding up the flashcards, asking them the problems and checking the answers. Even if they can't solve the math problem, they can start to learn what those are. They can start to see what those answers are and hear it being answered. That is worst case scenario, but if you're ever given an impossible situation, I hope these are some tools in your toolkit, and if you have any questions, you can always just text me and I'll walk on over. So it's up to you to kind of come up with these ideas, but these are a few tips and tricks that you can use for kids who already know math, who are blowing you out of the water and doing great. And some kids might have moved on to using calculators. So typically after 4th grade in schools, they are starting to use calculators, or they know that they have to use them and they don't know how to use them. You can grab one of these 2 calculators that we have, and you can show them how to use one, and you can show them what that would look like on their thing. So they always have to write it out. They should always say the problem, but then the way that they solve it can be different if they're 4th grade and above, and you know that that's something that they have to do. Whether it's you're working on homework with them and it says use a calculator, whether they're telling you, oh, I've been using a calculator for this one, or it's obvious in their problems that they have to use a calculator. Feel free to come grab one. Teach them the skill and how to use it, but don't drop writing it out. Don't drop saying it, because we want to go through all the different steps into doing math. So I'm excited that you are a part of this program. Thank you for being here and being willing to teach these kids these basic skills and helping them just stay engaged in this topic of math. And we can show them that math really is everywhere. We always have to count. We always have to be learning, and there's so many different ways to do it. So I appreciate you.